In the economy that we live in, I'm sorry to say that your 9 to 5 job is not reliable. Have you heard about all the layoffs that are going on? Most of the time, you're just a number for that company. So if they're not going to take care of you, you need to take care of yourself.
Welcome to Empowermente, the headquarters of personal empowerment.
Hola chicos, welcome to Empowermente. I'm your host Gina Moreno, and we're going to dive into a very interesting topic today called building multiple streams of income. Building multiple streams of income allowed me to have many privileges and liberties. When I was still at Microsoft, there was many reasons why I started building other endeavors, and it's for 3 reasons. 1, connection to other people. 2, purpose. And 3, financial freedom. So those 3 reasons were the reasons why I wanted to do more. 1, I was going to be able to connect to additional people with what I did. Purpose, I was going to be able to live in purpose and find more of my purpose. And 3, financial freedom, which ultimately led me to where I am today. So let's dive right in. And if this is your first time listening, welcome. Don't forget to rate the podcast 5 stars if you absolutely love it. I would be very happy if you would share this on your stories. Thank you so much for supporting. I'm going to dive into, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually, let's say 6. I'm going to dive into 6 main ideas. And guys, this is why I wanted to create a podcast and a long form video, because there's so much to say about it. And I feel like even when I record this episode, there's going to be a lot more to say about it. Okay, what I'm going to review is what does it mean to build multiple sources of income, why you should consider building multiple streams of income, some disclaimers, because I think it's important as somebody who has built multiple streams of income to talk about them, some tips to start, what is the difference between passive and non-passive, and my personal income streams since 2019. And to end, I'll leave you with some resources, ideas, and platforms that you can use. So let's get started with the fundamental question. What does it mean to build multiple streams of income? Let's analyze that further. Income means money that is coming in. Generally thinking about it, if you have a job, your income is through that job. Multiple streams of income simply means building multiple ways for you to receive money. And with that being said, why should you build multiple streams of income? And I have many reasons, but I'll start with the most obvious to the least obvious. The most obvious is for more financial liberties. I think a big reason why I was so passionate about bringing women to STEM and tech, besides the innovation and critical thinking side, in addition to the innovation and the impact that you can have in the field, it was also about the money, the salary, and the benefits that these kind of fields provide to you. There is a common saying that having more money doesn't buy happiness, but there's been several studies that show that indeed it does until a certain point. I believe that the study said that if you increase your salary anywhere more than $70,000, it wouldn't affect your happiness anymore. But this study was made years ago, not incorporating inflation. So I think if we were to modernize, it would say your happiness doesn't increase much more after, I want to say, maybe 150K. Anywhere before that, I would say so. As a person who lived in a household that earned $10,000 to reaching up to $165,000 in my 9 to 5, I could clearly see the night and day with the quality of life when you have more money. Not only having access to better healthcare, better living situations, better areas to live in, feeling more safe, having the privilege to do what you enjoy and not what your money limits to is really amazing. And I think as women, we need to be very conscious that financial freedom is a huge privilege that we have right now. Women in the 1970s weren't even allowed to open credit cards, and many of them stayed in relationships not for love, but because they had to. And I think we need to exercise that right and keep it for ourselves, for our security, for our safety, for our parents, for our family, and for our future generations. And not to say you don't have a choice to become a stay-at-home mom. That's also amazing. But I think this narrative with the trad wife trend doesn't talk about just that financial power that comes with somebody who is a breadwinner or earns money. If you are either dependent on your parents or on your partner to have money, you are also dependent on them for other things of your livelihood. So that's just a topic that I wanted to touch in, and it's the most obvious, more financial liberty. The second reason why I think you should build multiple streams of income is because if you are a first generation daughter or son of immigrants, you are behind. If you don't come from generational wealth, chances are you have to start from below scratch, building up to a point where you can sustain yourself and probably also help your parents. And a really good book that talks about it is Cultura and Cash Lessons from the First Gen Mentor for Maintaining Finances and Cultural Expectations. It's from Gigi Gonzalez, the first gen mentor. She was gracious enough to send me this book, and I read it, and it's really amazing how she breaks down different archetypes of the people who are born with money versus people who are not born with money. So I highly suggest you read that book. But yeah, pretty much, because I'm sorry to tell you that the harsh reality is that you're probably behind. And that is going to hinder you from being able to pursue your dreams fully. So it does become a very daunting thing sometimes, but with you taking action and building another stream of income, it can help mitigate that and help you get ahead in the game. A really simple reason why you should build more sources of income is because it's easier to make more money than it is to sacrifice and restrict yourself. As an entrepreneur, I really made it a point to reduce my expenses as much as I could, but in reality, it's just easier to make more money. And I think that's the best way to put it. I think a really underrated reason to build more sources of income is because you learn new skills. If you are a person who loves to learn and love to try new things, I think it's a way to develop different skills that you could incorporate into your bigger career or your business. And I think the last one might be a hot take, but I really don't think it's a hot take. In the economy that we live in, I'm sorry to say that your 9 to 5 job is not reliable. Have you heard about all the layoffs that are going on? Most of the time, you're just a number for that company. So if they're not going to take care of you, you need to take care of yourself. And I've talked about this in my content before, but job hopping every 2 years is actually the best way to increase and maximize your salary and benefits. And it's sad that having loyalty to a company doesn't really guarantee that you receive any benefits like it did in the past with our parents and grandparents. So, a simple way to say it is that you can't trust these people on your livelihood. And even if it's small, you should be building multiple streams of income. And actually, I think if you have a 9 to 5, if you have a career, this will help you a lot because you're receiving a constant amount of money that can help you plan better. Okay, so those are the reasons why you should consider building sources of income. Disclaimers, because I think it's important as somebody who has built multiple streams of income to talk about them. One, I think building multiple streams of income goes hand in hand with the conversation about your finances. And before you even start looking into building more streams of income, you need to understand exactly where you stand in your finances. What is coming in? What is coming out? What are your goals quarterly, 6 months, a year? And also have your financial fundamentals in place, such as an emergency fund. So that would be the very first thing to keep in mind. The second disclaimer is that I don't think this is about going crazy and never stop working. I don't really want to feed into hustle culture. It's not about always being busy and always being productive, but just having in mind that there is a possibility for you to make money outside of your main career. I have personally had a hard time with this, and it is the balance between do enjoy and live your life and not be consumed by trying to make more money, hustle culture versus chilling and feeding into capitalism, all these things. And when I tuned more into my feminine energy and being, I think as humans, we tend to overcompensate. I actually turned into really terrible habits of not doing anything. So I'm sorry to say, but things are not going to come if you don't do anything. Unfortunately, manifestation does require action. And so I don't want to feed into hustle culture, but at the same time, your dreams are not going to come true if you just sit back and hope for the best. And thinking about it, wishing about it, brainstorming about it, analyzing it, planning for it is not the same as doing. Another disclaimer is that you have to be very humble to build multiple streams of income because it will humble you. It is very humbling because you're starting from scratch, maybe in a skill that you have never learned, or if you're not starting new, also like you're starting new and monetizing that skill. You have to be humble and you have to understand that you are a beginner. Just keep in mind that it's okay not to get it right the very first time. There's a lot of learning involved in this. And if you are a business owner, you probably already have multiple sources of income. And another thing to keep in mind is that in this game, there's a lot of balancing of feminine and masculine energy about doing and being. Also, a lot of energy of being creative versus structured. And it is all a matter of you trying it out and seeing what is it that you're actually capable of doing in this time of your life. Oh my gosh. Today, as I'm talking, I feel like I'm running out of breath and I don't know why. I don't think it's a heavy topic for me, but I do think it is a very masculine topic. So maybe I don't know why I'm not breathing. Okay, let me take a little break. Okay. If you want to start building another stream of income, oh my God, y'all have to take a shot every time I say stream of income, but I can't find another way to say it. So I'm sorry. But some things to think about as you get started are really two things that I want to talk about. One is skill utilization, is to either one, use the skills that you already have and capitalize on those, or two, pursue something that you're interested in and go after that so you can learn it. If you are already an expert in checking resumes, a good side hustle for you would be to go on Upwork, create your profile, and charge people for checking their resume. If you are looking to pursue a new skill, I have an example because me and my partner have been thinking that next year we're going to be ready to have a pet. And so I was thinking a great way to get exposed to pets is to babysit them and to go on walks with them. So an idea for a person like me would be to go on Rover and take care of some animals. Another thing to keep in mind as you get started is that even with your side hustles and with additional things that you do, you still have to pay taxes. So I think a really good thing to know before you get started is to keep track of how much money you're getting and how much money you're spending to actually make that side income possible. So let's just say that you choose to do photography on the side. If you buy a new camera, that's a business expense. If you buy backgrounds or filters for your camera, that's a business expense that you could deduct against the money that you're making. So that's something really cool that you should keep in mind before you get started. The next thing that I want to cover is what is the difference between passive and non-passive income? So passive income is essentially income that you gain that is not proportional to the amount of time that you're spending on it. In other words, you do very little investment of time and you still get money. That's passive income. And that. And non-passive is mostly income that you are exchanging your time for. But I will say there is no such thing as a truly passive income. There is always action that you have to take before it becomes passive. And those are the things that I'm going to talk about next, which are all my streams of income that I've had since 2019. So how are you guys feeling so far? Are you guys following me, absorbing all the information? I'm probably recording this 3 weeks before it comes out, and I'm wondering if I'm going to have more engagement on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcast. Let me know what platform you prefer. But okay, going back into it. Here are all the sources of income that I've had from 2019. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And not that I've done this all at the same time. Some I don't do anymore. So the first source of income is a 9 to 5, a regular corporate job. And that's what I had at Microsoft. That was my main and biggest source of income. Something really cool about working for a big company is that usually they offer stocks. So what I would do is that I would buy Microsoft stocks at a discount, and basically that would become another source of income. In hand with that is investing in the stock market. So I have index funds and mutual funds that I invest in, and over time that generates money for me. but I have never done short-term trading. All the investments that I do are really for the long run because at that point, that is a type of passive income. You don't really have to be looking at it. You have to look at it probably every quarter, but it's not something that I am actively looking at, which is really cool. And I feel like the coolest way to invest. Another source of income that I've had is content creation partnerships. So I've worked with organizations that pay me to talk about their services, products, or knowledge. And what's really cool about my partnerships is that I've done partnerships mostly with nonprofits that want me to promote some idea or some knowledge to my audience, which is super fun. Another source of income is UGC, user generated content. And I love creating user generated content because it is videos that do not go into your own feed. They just go into the brand's feed. So basically, you're creating videos for them. And the brands that I've worked with basically already have a script of what they want me to say. And they're using my name and likeness and image to run ads or to generate sales. But directly, I am not promoting and endorsing that product in my own profile. So I think that's really cool. Another source of income is Airbnb, and short term renting is a very awesome way of having short term and long term gains. So, what's cool about it is that I am receiving cash flow every single month from my Airbnbs. And I will also receive cash flow when it's time to sell the property or when I decide to do something else with the property. The point is that the value of the property is always increasing. And I will say that Airbnb is not truly a passive income, but it is an income that you don't have to invest as much time after the initial part, which is obtaining the house, putting all the furniture in. And yeah, and I will have a full episode on Airbnb. Let me know what aspects of Airbnb you're interested in. The next is public speaking. I love public speaking, and it was so interesting in my brain understanding that I could get paid to share my knowledge and expertise, energy, and motivation with people. And I absolutely love public speaking. I wanted it to be my main source of income. But along the way, I realized that there were some lifestyle things that didn't align with what I wanted. So, yeah, it's still a source of income for me, but it's just not the main source of income that I'm pursuing. The next stream of income that I had was tech career coaching consultations. If you've been following me for a long time, I have been an advocate to bring women and other minorities to tech. And what I would do is basically have an hour with somebody where we can brainstorm and what roles they would be a good fit to go into the tech industry. And I had been doing that for a long time. And yeah, it was just another way for me to gain income. Another source of income that I'm building now is long term one on one coaching. And that is when I work with a client and they have a goal of wanting to go from point A to point B. And I help them get there through mindset, sharing resources, and being available to them and working with them with whatever goal that we have together. Another source of income that I have is retreats. And so I've only done one so far. It was April in Sedona here in Arizona, and it was really awesome. And I think it's something that I would probably want to do once or twice a year. And yeah, another source of income is creating programs for schools. And this is what I did with Generation Pionera, which is another one of my businesses that we did in Austin, Texas. And so it's basically building the curriculum, the event, bringing speakers, bringing media, bringing everyone. And it's a program to empower first generation. And in this case, it was through STEM and mental health. I think it pretty much covers a lot of what I've done is event consulting. I did this because I was a speaker at an event and the person who organized it needed some help in making the event successful. So I didn't really have the time to answer all of the questions. So I added a line item as event consulting for an additional cost. And that is another way that I got paid. So that was a lot. But those have been my sources of income from 2019. Some resources, ideas, and platform to use are the following. So the first way that you can think about building another source of income is through freelance work. Like I mentioned, there's probably skills that you already know that you can really capitalize off. There are two main platforms that you can use. Upwork and Fiverr. These platforms are meant for you to promote your services where people can leave ratings and you can share your portfolio of the things that you've done and people can hire you to do those things. And it can be anything from graphic design, resume consultations, websites, marketing, social media, anything you want. And again, if you want to do a career transition, doing these type of things is so cool. So let's just say that you are working as a project manager, but you want to be a product marketing manager. Cool way to transition into that is to actually do some freelance work for social media or anything related to marketing, and then use those skills to transition to that new career. And another way is through gig economy. So I'm talking about Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and most newly TaskRabbit, which doing things to help people like moving, cleaning, or assembling furniture. I've actually never used it because I was going to use it in my event in Austin, but then we had a lot of volunteers, so it wasn't necessary. But I've heard from people that it's really cool and that, there's always work. Another one that is common, I think, is doing online tutoring or teaching. There's a lot of people who teach English privately or teach some type of subject. Other ideas are selling products, whether it be handmade products on Etsy or eBay. You can also sell products on Amazon. And I think the coolest thing is when you sell digital products. So you sell a guide on how to do something, or you sell some type of thing that people can obtain digitally, like a poem book or an illustration book. There's always people that are ready to consume whatever that is that you want to share with them. So yeah, guys, that was a lot of information, but I hope that you were able to take some things away from it. So, some takeaways as a person that has built several sources of income is one, it will take time to build. If you are a person who is multi passionate and wants to learn many things and do many things, it will take more time to see that progress just because your energy is dispersed in different avenues. But there's nothing wrong with that. I think it builds a very strong mindset not to be motivated by those results and that instant gratification. Another takeaway from me would be to start small. So start with another thing that you want to do and gradually add onto it, right? Do it once, do it a few times, and evaluate after a few months if that's truly what you want to do. And you're not married to these streams of income. You can always create more or just stop if it's not something that you want to do at this point in your life. And another thing that I would say would be to make sure that the things that you're doing are diverse. Diversifying your streams of income reduces financial risk. So if one doesn't work out, you have another one. And since they are in different markets, they're not directly affecting each other. So yeah, in this episode, we covered why you should build multiple streams of income, some tips to get started, what is passive versus non-passive income, my personal streams of income from 2019, and some resources, ideas, and platforms that you can use. I really hope that this was helpful. If you find value in this information, please give me a 5-star review. And if you want to connect with me, please message me on my Instagram for this podcast, Empowermente Co. And thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you and see you later.